Chapter 127. Chu Liyue's eyes darkened as he drew his sword from his waist and stabbed forward. That bright and sharp sword pierced the steel azure horse's neck with unparalleled precision. The steel azure horse let out a painful neigh as its eyes turned even crazier. Its body moved and it continued to attack Chu Liyue without a care for anything else. Chu Liyue's expression was cold as he flipped his wrist. That long sword suddenly slashed horizontally, forcefully severing the steel azure horse's neck. Thump! The huge, greenish head fell to the ground with a dull thud. The wound that Chu Liyue had cut was still bleeding profusely. The steel azure horse's eyes were wide open as it twitched twice before it stopped breathing very quickly. Chu Liyue sheathed her sword and glanced at the corpse on the ground as she thought to herself. She did not know this steel azure horse and she had not done anything overboard. Why would it react like this? Mu Hongyu and the others were stunned for a while before they reacted to what had happened. You're too fast. Mu Hongyu asked in a daze. The few of them had attacked together but were unable to stop the berserk iron azure horse. However, Chu Liyue had only used one sword strike to kill it. What kind of power did he need to do that? Damn, you were still holding back when you were competing with Chu Qianmin. Sen Hu, who had fallen to the ground, finally got up. However, he could not care less about the blood on his face and body. He only stared at Chu Liyue in disbelief. He had fought the steel azure horse head-on just now and had experienced its power. Even someone as strong as him had suffered under the hooves of the steel azure horse. If Mu Hongyu and the others had not come to help, he might not have been its match. But Chu Liyue had actually killed it so easily? Chu Liyue collected her thoughts and looked up at the others. She shrugged. It wanted to kill me, so of course I wouldn't show it any mercy. As for the midterm assessment, didn't teachers say to stop when the time was right? Sen Hu stared at Chu Liyue as he spoke so casually. He could not help but curse in a low voice. Chu Liyue raised his chin. You can take the origin core. Sen Hu's eyes widened. What do you mean? Are you looking down on me? You killed the steel azure horse, so the origin core is naturally yours. I, Sen Hu, am not a greedy person. Chu Liyue rubbed the area between his brows. This Sen Hu's personality was a little too straightforward. You were injured by it. If you don't rest well, you won't be able to recover without half a month. Take its origin core and use it to heal. You'll recover faster. The others were stunned by his words. Sen Hu was a little tempted, but he still asked doubtfully, Really? How do you know all this? Chu Liyue could not be bothered with him. He turned and walked forward. It's just a third-grade origin core. It's not a good thing. It's fine if you don't want it. But if it affects our entire team, Hongyu won't let you off, let alone me. Mu Hongyu suddenly patted him on the shoulder. Didn't you hear what Liyue said? Hurry up and go. Sen Hu staggered from the pat, but he was not angry at all. Instead, he grinned. Then I'll take the origin core first. When we encounter other magical beasts in the future, I'll be at the front to help you. As he spoke, he walked to the side of the corpse and cut it open with his saber. From the steel azure horse's head, he took out a green pearl the size of a longan. On it, 3 veined patterns could be clearly seen. Sen Hu wiped off the blood on it, opened his mouth, and swallowed it. A warm current flowed through his lungs, and the heart-wrenching pain instantly lessened. Sen Hu's eyes lit up. It really works. Chu Liyue did not turn back. The origin cores of magical beasts all contain some poison, and the steel azure horse is no exception. Every hour after that, cut your thumb and let out some blood. Do this 3 times, and the poison in the origin core will naturally be expelled. It would have been better to use the 3 pure leaves, but there doesn't seem to be any here. Let's use this stupid method for now. Her tone was light, as if it was a small matter. However, Mu Hongyu and the others were dumbfounded by what they heard. Chu Liyue walked a few steps and realized that there was no movement behind her. She finally turned around, but saw that they were all looking at her strangely. What's wrong? Liyue, how do you know so much? Mu Hongyu asked hesitantly. Gu Mingfeng, who had been silent all this while, suddenly spoke. Have you forgotten that she passed all 3 exams to get into the academy? Of course, that included Heaven Doctor. Actually, Mu Hongyu and the others could not be blamed for not remembering. On the day Chu Luiwei had been admitted to the academy, she had immediately participated in the Mystic Master and Warrior midterm examinations. She had placed 2nd and 1st respectively. It was really too dazzling. Not many people had really paid attention to Heaven Doctor. Now that Gu Mingfeng mentioned it, the few of them snapped out of their daze. Damn, I really forgot. Senhu smacked his head and gave Chu Luiwei a thumbs up. I'm impressed. Chu Luiwei, Senhu, am really impressed by you now. Chu Luiwei raised her brows slightly. It's just a superficial knowledge. It's nothing much. Let's continue walking in. All right. Mu Hongyu and the others responded in unison. Mu Hongyu had originally been the leader of their team, but unknowingly, they had already treated Chu Luiwei as their backbone. It was as if she could inexplicably convince people just by standing there. Gu Mingfeng followed at the back and narrowed his eyes. Chu Luiwei really only knew a little? The Iron Azure Horse was not considered common. Even if ordinary people had seen it, they might not know much about it. But Chu Luiwei actually knew something like how to expel the poison from the Iron Azure Horse original elixir. Could it really be such a coincidence? In the mountains, the sky always darkened very quickly. The sun set, the curtain of night hung high, and a bright moon hung in the sky. Why don't we rest here today? Mu Hongyu suggested as they walked to a relatively spacious area. However, Chu Luiwei suddenly pulled her back. Wait. Mu Hongyu looked at her strangely, only to see that Chu Luiwei's expression was vigilant and her brows were tightly furrowed, as if she was very nervous. She could not help but feel nervous as well. What's wrong? After what had happened in the day, she trusted Chu Luiwei the most now. If Chu Luiwei felt that something was wrong, then something was definitely wrong. Chu Luiwei pursed her lips tightly and did not speak. However, fine beads of sweat appeared on her forehead. What exactly is? Mu Hongyu stopped abruptly in the middle of her sentence. A pair of cold and glossy green eyes appeared in the darkness like 2 balls of will-the-wisp. There's a wolf? Chu Luiwei held her breath. It's not just one. The few of them looked at the same time and saw that next to the pair of green eyes, a second and a third pair had appeared. Very soon, they were surrounded by these cold eyes that looked like will-the-wisp. Greedy, cold and cruel. There was a dead silence in the forest, only endless murderous intent was spreading wildly. Chu Luiwei closed her eyes. It's a pack of wolves. Digression. Usually updated at 9 in the morning, mobile users please browse and read. For a better reading experience, please visit the website. Chapter 128. Chu Luiwei's eyes darkened. He drew his sword from his waist and stabbed it forward. That bright and sharp sword accurately pierced the livid horse's neck. The livid horse let out a painful neigh, and its eyes became even crazier. It moved its body and continued to attack Chu Luiwei without caring about anything else. Chu Luiwei's expression was cold as he flipped his wrist. The sword suddenly slashed horizontally and cut off the livid horse's neck. Plop. The livid horse's head fell to the ground with a dull thud. The wound that Chu Luiwei cut was still bleeding. The livid horse's eyes were wide open, and it twitched twice before it stopped breathing. Chu Luiwei put his sword away and looked at the corpse on the ground. He was deep in thought. She did not know this livid horse, and she did not do anything overboard. Why did it react this way? Mu Hongyu and the rest were stunned for a while before they realized what had happened. You're too fast. Mu Hongyu asked in a daze. The few of them had attacked the livid horse together, but they could not stop it. However, Chu Luiwei killed it with just one slash. How strong must he be to do that? F***CK. You were still holding back when you were competing with Chu Xianmin the other day? Senhu, who was lying on the ground, got up with much difficulty. He did not care about the blood on his face and body. He stared at Chu Luiwei with his eyes wide open in disbelief. He had a taste of the livid horse's abilities when he fought it head-on earlier. Even someone as strong as him had suffered under the livid horse's hooves. If Mu Hongyu and the rest did not help him, he might not have been its match. However, Chu Liwei killed it so easily? Chu Liwei collected his thoughts, looked up at the few of them and shrugged. It wanted to kill me, so I naturally did not show it any mercy. As for the midterm assessment, didn't the teachers say not to go overboard? Sinhu stared at Chu Liwei with his eyes wide open. He could not help but curse softly. Chu Liwei raised his chin. You can have the pearl of essence. Sinhu's eyes widened. What do you mean? Are you looking down on me? You killed the livid horse, so its pearl of essence is naturally yours. I'm not a greedy person. Chu Liwei rubbed his eyebrows. Sinhu's personality was a little too straightforward. You were injured by it. If you don't recuperate, you'll need at least 10 days to half a month. If you take its origin pill and use your origin to heal, you'll recover faster. Sinhu's words were stunned. Sinhu's words, but he still doubtfully. Really? How do you know this? Chu Liwei could not be bothered with him. He turned around and walked away. A mere third-grade pearl of essence is nothing. It's fine if you don't want it. But if it affects our entire team, Hongyu will be the first to come after you. Mu Hongyu had an epiphany and suddenly patted his shoulder. Didn't you hear what Luyu said? Why aren't you going? Sinhu staggered from the slap, but he wasn't angry at all. Instead, he grinned. Then I'll take the pearl of essence first. When we encounter other fiends, I'll definitely rush to the front to help you. As he spoke, he walked to the corpse and cut it open. From the head of the livid horse, he took out a green pearl the size of a longan fruit. 3 lines were clearly visible on the pearl. Sinhu wiped the blood off the pearl and swallowed it. A warm current passed through his heart, and the heart-wrenching pain from before was instantly alleviated by a lot. Sinhu's eyes lit up. It really works. Chu Liwei didn't turn around and lightly said, she said calmly, the pearl of essence of a fiend is more or less poisonous. The livid horse is no exception. After that, every hour, cut your thumb and let out some blood. Do this 3 times and you will naturally be able to expel the poison from the pill of essence. It would be better to use the 3 pure leaves, but I don't think there are any here. Let's use this stupid method for now. Her tone was light, as if this was just a small matter. However, Mu Hongyu and the rest were all dumbfounded. Chu Liwei walked a few steps and realized that there was no movement behind her. She finally turned around and saw that they were looking at her strangely. What's wrong? Liu, how do you know so much? Mu Hongyu asked hesitantly. Gu Mingfeng, who had been quiet all this while, suddenly spoke. Have you forgotten that she was admitted to the college after passing all 3 examinations? This naturally included the celestial physician. Actually, Mu Hongyu and the others could not be blamed for not remembering. On the day that Chu Liwei was admitted to the college, she directly participated in the Xian Master and Warrior midterm examinations. She came in 2nd place and 1st place respectively. It was truly too dazzling. Not many people paid attention to the celestial physician. Now that Gu Mingfeng mentioned it, the others suddenly snapped out of their daze. Damn, I really forgot. Sinhu slapped his head and gave Chu Liwei a thumbs up. I'm impressed. Chu Liwei, Sinhu really admire you now. Chu Liwei raised her brows slightly. It's just a superficial knowledge. It's not a big deal. Let's continue walking. Okay. Mu Hongyu and the others responded in unison. Originally, their team leader was Mu Hongyu, but unknowingly, they had already regarded Chu Liwei as their backbone. It was as if she could inexplicably convince others just by standing there. Gu Mingfeng followed at the back and narrowed his eyes. Chu Liwei really only knew a superficial knowledge? The livid horse was not considered common. Even if an average person had seen it, they might not know much about it. However, Chu Liwei actually knew how to expel the poison from the livid horse's pill of origin. Could it really be such a coincidence? The sky in the mountain forest always turned dark very quickly. The sun set and the curtain of night hung up. A bright moon hung in the sky. Shall we rest here first today? Mu Hongyu suggested as they walked to a more spacious area. Chu Luiyue suddenly pulled her back. Wait! Mu Hongyu looked at her strangely and saw Chu Luiyue's vigilant expression. Her brows were tightly knitted as if she was very nervous. She could not help but feel nervous. What's the matter? After what happened during the day, she trusted Chu Luiyue the most now. If Chu Luiyue felt that something was wrong, then something was definitely wrong. Chu Luiyue pursed her lips tightly and did not speak. However, fine beads of sweat appeared on her forehead. What on earth? Mu Hongyu abruptly stopped halfway through her sentence. A pair of cold green eyes appeared in the darkness like two balls of the wisps. There's a wolf? Chu Luiyue held her breath. Not just one. The few of them looked over together and saw a second and third pair of green eyes appear one after another beside that pair of green eyes. Soon, they were surrounded by these cold eyes that looked like the wisps. Greedy, cold, cruel. There was a deathly silence in the forest. Only endless killing intent was spreading crazily. Chu Luiyue closed her eyes. It's a pack of wolves. Digression. Usually updated at 9 a.m., mobile users please browse and read. A better reading experience comes from AI Network. Chapter 129. This is a third-grade fiend, a red wolf. There must be at least a dozen of them. There are only 5 of us. How can we be their match? Mu Hongyu's face turned pale. They were too unlucky to encounter such danger as soon as they entered Wanling mountain range. If there were only 1 or 2 of them, they might have a chance of winning if they worked together. However, there were so many of them. Without a doubt, they would not be able to defeat them. Liao Zhongshu frowned and muttered, "That's not right. Although red wolves live in packs and are ferocious, they are also very arrogant. They rarely fight with people for no reason. We didn't do anything. Why are they targeting us?" Chu Luiyue's heart skipped a beat. She suddenly recalled that the livid horse seemed to be targeting her, for no reason. Could it be that these red wolves were also targeting her? The two parties were in a stalemate. The air seemed to have frozen. "What do you want?" After a short moment of dead silence, a cold voice broke the strange atmosphere. Chu Luiyue suddenly spoke. At the same time, she took a step forward and stood in front of them. Mu Hongyu pulled her sleeve nervously. Crazy. Those red wolves were so ferocious. If they went over now, they would be courting death. Chu Luiyue patted her gently, indicating that she did not need to worry. However, Mu Hongyu still refused to let go. She was afraid that Chu Luiyue would take things too hard and go over. "Luyu, we are no match for these things. Let's think of a way to escape. I'll send a message to the teachers and elders now and ask for their help." As she spoke, Mu Hongyu was about to take out the signal tube. Chu Luiyue's heart sank. She wanted to stop her. "Don't." Before she could finish her sentence, Mu Hongyu had already taken out the signal tube. A whir! A ferocious roar suddenly echoed through the forest. The sudden movement startled Mu Hongyu. She instinctively trembled and did not pull the signal tube in time. However, the surrounding pack of wolves suddenly walked forward. The encirclement became even tighter. Following that, the wolves raised their heads and howled. Oh, under the moonlight, such a sound was particularly horrifying. Chu Luiyue felt her organs tremble, and she knitted her brows tightly. With so many red-winged wolves, even if each of them bit them once, it would be more than enough for them to endure. They seemed to be angry? Sen, who was also sweating profusely from nervousness. Chu Luiyue tightened his grip on the long sword in his hand. His muscles tightened as he secretly accumulated power. The red wolf is extremely intelligent and sensitive. When Snapper took out the signal tube, they knew that we were going to call for help. To them, this is a provocation. Mu Hongyu immediately panicked. So it was because of her? "I'm sorry, now is not the time to talk about this." Chu Luiyue interrupted her with a reassuring tone. "Since they've set their sights on us, they won't leave easily. It's only a matter of time before they attack us." Although Mu Hongyu said that, she still blamed herself. Suddenly, the gathered wolves parted in the middle. A snow-white, muscular red-winged wolf slowly walked out from the back of the pack. Its fur was smooth and shiny. When it walked out of the darkness, the moonlight shone on its body, making it look particularly majestic. Most importantly, its eyes were filled with undisguised murderous intent. Chu Liyue saw it clearly and knew that there was no way for them to negotiate. He immediately reminded them in a low voice. "That's the Wolf King." They became even more cautious. The books say that every wolf pack has its own Wolf King. If the Wolf King is killed, then the wolf pack will suffer a huge blow and be defeated. Liao Zhongshu's voice was as soft as a mosquito's. They immediately understood what he meant. To catch bandits, first catch the Wolf King. They had no chance of winning against so many red wind wolves. Their only hope was to kill the Wolf King as soon as possible. Only then would they have a chance of survival while the wolf pack was in chaos. "Leave the Wolf King to me. You guys wait for the right time to strike," Gu Mingfeng suddenly said. Chu Liyue looked back at him in surprise. He saw that the feminine face was expressionless. Only his clenched jaw showed that he was not as relaxed as he looked. In fact, Gu Mingfeng made this choice because he knew that the situation today was very dangerous. If they were not careful, they would all die here. He was the highest level among them. Naturally, he had to be at the forefront. Mu Hongyu and the others looked at each other. Everyone knew that this was the most dangerous situation. However, if something happened to Gu Mingfeng, the Red Wind Wolf's most powerful weapon is its sharp claws and teeth. Even if you don't die, you'll be crippled. Remember, don't fight it head-on. "I'll support you," Chu Liyue said in a low voice. He then instructed the others to do their best to stop the other Red Wind Wolves. As long as they had enough time, they might win. Mu Hongyu bit her lip. "Yes, the situation is dangerous. The two of you must be careful. You too." After Chu Liyue said that, he silently held the dagger in his other hand. The next moment, the Wolf King suddenly moved. It was extremely fast. It drew a snow-white trail in the air and appeared in front of them in the blink of an eye. Gu Mingfeng tapped his toes and flew forward. He raised his sword and slashed at the Wolf King. Almost at the same time, Chu Liyue followed closely behind. In an instant, the two of them and the Wolf King were in a tripartite confrontation. On the other side, the wolf pack charged at them from all directions. Mu Hongyu and the other two had their backs against each other, forming a small protective circle. They began to fight with the wolf pack. Gu Mingfeng's sword was about to strike, but the Wolf King was faster. With a leap, it jumped onto a tree trunk at the side. It lowered its body and exerted force with its hind legs. Its entire body flew out rapidly. It charged in front of Gu Mingfeng in an instant. Gu Mingfeng was shocked. He immediately raised his sword to block in front of his chest. Whoosh! The sharp claws rubbed against the sword body, making an ear-piercing sound. Gu Mingfeng only felt his body being attacked by a heavy force. His body retreated a few steps uncontrollably. When he finally steadied himself, he quickly looked down and saw that there were already a few clear scratches on the sword body. It was left behind by the Wolf King just now. Its claws were actually so sharp. They were even more dangerous than swords. Gu Mingfeng's expression darkened. This Wolf King's strength was clearly about to break through to rank 4. He was definitely not a match for it just by relying on himself. Just as the thought flashed through his mind, he felt a gust of cold wind coming toward him. It was the Wolf King in hot pursuit and attacking again. He channeled his force and poured it into his sword. However, the Wolf King had already pounced on him at this time. Gu Mingfeng could not block it and directly crashed onto the ground. He wanted to get up and escape, but he could not move at all. He could only be slaughtered by the Wolf King. The Wolf King opened its bloody mouth. Its sharp teeth shone with a cold light as it bit at Gu Mingfeng's neck. A fishy smell hit him in the face. Gu Mingfeng could even feel its teeth pressing against his skin. Gu Mingfeng's blood seemed to have frozen at this moment. However, just as he thought that he was going to die, a biting cold aura suddenly attacked. Behind the Wolf King was Chu Liyue's sword. Mobile users, please browse for a better reading experience from Love Network. Chapter 130. Sensing the danger, the Wolf King could only stop attacking Gu Mingfeng and turn to pounce on Chu Luiyue. Chu Luiyue's sword slashed across its back and the Wolf King's fur stood on end. It was as hard as steel needles. This sword strike only left an extremely shallow bloodstain on the surface. Chu Luiyue pursed her lips tightly. Although the king of the Crimson Wind Wolves was only a third-grade magical beast, its strength was comparable to a fourth-grade magical beast. The most troublesome part was its fur. However, Chu Luiyue's attack had thoroughly enraged the Wolf King. After exchanging blows with Chu Luiyue, it landed on the ground not far away and was filled with cold, murderous intent. Awoo! The Wolf King raised its head and howled, then charged toward Chu Luiyue again. Chu Luiyue raised her sword and the man and beast clashed. The Wolf King bit the sword directly. Crack! The long sword broke. In Chu Luiyue's hand, there was only a broken sword left. The Wolf King followed closely. It went straight for Chu Luiyue's neck. Gu Mingfeng's heart suddenly felt empty when he saw this scene. However, Chu Luiyue did not retreat. Instead, she went forward and stabbed the remaining half of the sword into the Wolf King's mouth. The Wolf King let out a howl. The next moment, it seemed to have gone berserk and bit the broken sword into pieces. Blood splattered everywhere. Chu Luiyue felt a few drops of warm liquid on her face. The thick stench of blood was nauseating. She quickly let go of the sword hilt and retreated. The Wolf King went forward again. This time, its speed was even faster than before. Chu Luiyue could not dodge in time. When she looked up, she could already see the Wolf King's sharp teeth. She tilted her head and narrowly avoided the Wolf King's attack. The next moment, a cold, murderous intent flashed in her eyes. She bent her knee and raised her leg, then kicked the Wolf King in the stomach. To an ordinary person, this kick might be an extremely serious attack. However, to the Wolf King, whose physical strength was tyrannical, it was nothing. The Wolf King's movement only paused for a moment before it continued to attack. Its sharp claws went for the heart. Once it was hit, it would definitely die. Gu Mingfeng, who had just gotten up with difficulty, saw this scene and his heart was in his mouth. His pupils constricted. At this moment, a ray of light suddenly flashed. The Wolf King only saw a flash in front of its eyes, then felt a cold touch on its front leg. Its actions finally stopped, but it saw Chu Luiyue holding a dagger in front of her chest. Its front claws, which had attacked Chu Luiyue, had been chopped off. A moment later, an intense pain. Taking advantage of this short period of time, Chu Luiyue kicked it out again. The Wolf King lost its front paws and fell heavily to the ground heavily. With dust and blood all over his body, he looked like he was in a sorry state. Ming! Luiyue! Hurry! We can't hold on any longer. Mu Hongyu suddenly shouted. Chu Luiyue glanced sideways and saw that the three of them had already fallen into the pack of wolves. Their figures were almost buried in the wolves. Without hesitation, she quickly went forward and leaped. Her hand rose and the knife fell. The knife pierced through the Wolf King's head. A bloody hole instantly appeared in the Wolf King's head. Its eyeballs protruded and its flesh and blood rolled. It wanted to struggle to get up, but Gu Mingfeng immediately went forward and added another stab to the wound. It twitched a few times before it went completely silent. The wolf pack immediately sensed the Wolf King's death and it was followed by chaos. Not long after, the pack of wolves that had been attacking Mu Hongyu and the other two fled in all directions, disappearing into the dark forest without a trace. The surroundings finally quieted down again. Only the bloodstains on the ground and the Wolf King's corpse proved what had happened here. Chu Luiyue heaved a sigh of relief after confirming that the crisis was over. She took 2 steps back and leaned against a tree, panting heavily. Her current ability was not bad compared to Chu Xinmin's, but it was still very difficult for her to fight with a fiend of the Red Wolf King's level. The short exchange had almost depleted her energy. If she had not used the dagger to block the Wolf King's fatal attack, she might have been. Chu Luiyue lowered her head and looked at the dagger in her hand. The thin and sharp dagger had clear moonlight flowing on it, and there was not a trace of blood. However, she had already experienced its power earlier. This time, she really had to thank Rong Xiu. If it were her previous dagger, she definitely would not have been able to kill the Wolf King so easily. Unknowingly, Rong Xiu had saved her again. Chu Luiyue looked at the dagger in a daze. Luiyue, are you okay? Mu Hongyu rushed over and hurriedly sized up Chu Luiyue. Chu Luiyue snapped out of her daze and shook her head. I'm fine. Your arm is cut. Mu Hongyu wanted to heave a sigh of relief, but she saw that Chu Luiyue's right arm had a few cuts. Chu Luiyue glanced at it and did not seem to care. I was accidentally scratched by that beast just now. It's nothing. You guys were surrounded by the wolves. How are you? Mu Hongyu was relieved when she saw her calm expression and confident tone. Her expression darkened when she heard Chu Luiyue's question. I'm fine. It's just that Liao Zhongshu was seriously injured when he tried to protect me and Senhu. Chu Luiyue looked up and saw Liao Zhongshu sitting on the ground with Senhu supporting him. His face was covered in blood, and there was a shocking wound on his thigh. It seemed that a piece of flesh had been bitten off. She frowned and walked over. How are you? Liao Zhongshu's face was extremely pale, without a trace of blood. I'm fine. How can you be fine? Senhu was anxious and his eyes were filled with frustration. It's all my fault. The wolves pounced on me just now and I couldn't hold them back. Zhongshu tried to help me. Liao Zhongshu shook his head and said weakly, You were injured. It's normal that you couldn't hold them back. You don't have to blame yourself. We're on the same team, aren't we? His voice became softer and softer, and he looked like he would faint at any moment. Mu Hongyu was so anxious that her eyes turned red. Luiyue, what should we do? You're a celestial physician. Do you have any ideas? Chu Luiyue bent down and carefully checked his injuries. She thought for a moment and shook her head. He's too badly injured. Even you can't do anything? Mu Hongyu's eyes became hot. She quickly turned her head and wiped the corners of her eyes. Among them, Luiyue was the most capable. Even she said that she couldn't do it. The corners of Liao Zhongshu's mouth twitched, and he forced a smile. However, his pale face made him even more distressing. I know my own body. I'll help you stop the bleeding first. Senhu, pull Liao Zhongshu's signal tube and ask the teacher to take him away. He can't continue in this situation. Wanling Mountain's terrain was steep. After the arrival of the magical beasts, it would only become more dangerous. Liao Zhongshu had to go back and recuperate. They looked at each other and fell silent. Senhu lowered his head and finally took out Liao Zhongshu's signal tube. He pulled it. A firework suddenly rose into the sky. Mobile users, please browse for a better reading experience from Love Network. Chapter 131. Now that things had come to this, everyone decided to rest where they were. Mu Hongyu went to start a fire, and the group sat around it, waiting for their teacher's arrival. Chu Luiyue found some herbs nearby and bandaged Liao Zhongshu's wound, temporarily stopping the bleeding. The others were more or less injured, so she distributed the herbs and let them deal with it themselves. Finally, she applied the remaining herbs to her arm. The pain that had just subsided was stimulated by the herbs, causing her to frown. Someone walked over. Chu Luiyue looked up and saw Gu Mingfeng. Just now. Thank you. The flames leaped and shone on Gu Mingfeng's face, making his expression look even more obscure and unclear. Chu Luiyue shook her head. It's not worth mentioning. That Wolf King is powerful. You and I are no match for it alone. We can only win if we work together. Fortunately, we were lucky. Gu Mingfeng looked at her, many thoughts flashing through his mind. Chu Luiyue said it casually, but in that life-and-death struggle, the slightest carelessness could have cost them their lives. But Chu Luiyue didn't hesitate at all. Especially when he thought he was going to die under the Wolf King's fangs. If not for Chu Luiyue's timely appearance, he would be worse than Liao Zhongshu. She saved his life. But she didn't seem to care. Was there really such a selfless person in this world? Chu Luiyue sensed that Gu Mingfeng hadn't left, so she looked up at him and saw the surging emotions in his eyes. Gu Mingfeng frowned and immediately looked away. Chu Luiyue smiled inwardly. She had seen too many scheming people in her previous life. She could see through Gu Mingfeng's thoughts at a glance. Perhaps because of his background, he was a little gloomy and sensitive, and he subconsciously distrusted everyone. Even though they were in the same team, Chu Luiyue believed that Gu Mingfeng had never cared about their lives. The main reason he was willing to deal with the Wolf King was because he wanted to save his own life. I saved you out of convenience. You don't have to take it to heart. In that kind of situation, if it was anyone else, I would have taken action. Chu Luiyue said indifferently. Gu Mingfeng was shocked. Only then did she realize that her thoughts had been seen through by Chu Luiyue. He frowned and felt a little uncomfortable. He turned around and planned to leave. After taking a step forward, he stopped. No matter what, I owe you one this time. After he finished speaking, he walked to a spot far away and sat down. He closed his eyes and adjusted his breathing. Chu Luiyue looked at him thoughtfully. His impression of him improved a little. Gu Mingfeng was much better than his half-sister, Gu Mingzhu. After waiting for about an hour, Teacher Wen Yan, who was leading the team, finally arrived. He looked travel-worn and there were sporadic bloodstains on his body, as if he had just been through a fight. Seeing that Chu Luiyue and the others were injured, he quickly stepped forward and asked, "What's the matter? You were also attacked by magical beasts?" Also? Chu Luiyue's heart skipped a beat. How did Teacher Wen Yan know? Wen Yan frowned. Lu Fian and the others also encountered the same situation. Of the 5 of them, 3 were severely injured and 2 were lightly injured. I received their distress signal 2 hours ago. I just sent them out and rushed over. Mu Hongyu and the others were also shocked. It's that serious? Mr. Wen Yan nodded solemnly. Indeed. According to them, they were attacked by Cloud's Urge Leopards. Cloud's Urge Leopards were 3rd-tier magical beasts, and they were powerful and ferocious. It was no wonder Lu Fian and the others were in such a miserable state. Then, they all left and withdrew from this hunt? Yes. The 3 of them are severely injured and no longer have the strength to fight. The remaining 2, Lu Fian and Lu Fian, are also trembling in fear after this battle. As Wen Yan spoke, he walked to Liao Zhongshu's side. After examining him carefully, he heaved a sigh of relief. Even though they are severely injured, it's fortunate that we managed to save them in time. It's not too late to return now. Liao Zhongshu knew that he would only be a burden to everyone if he stayed. Then, I'll have to trouble Teacher Wen Yan. Wen Yan sighed. Zhongshu, you're very talented. You could have hunted a suitable magical beast this time. Unfortunately, there was no need to think about it now. Liao Zhongshu's pale lips twitched as he smiled weakly. Teacher Wen Yan, don't worry. I know that my life is more important. It's good that you can think this way. When you recover, there will be more opportunities. It's not worth it for a moment of anger. Wen Yan was relieved as he looked at Chu Luiyue and the others. Then what about the 4 of you? Senhu said in a rough voice. Of course, we have to continue. It would be too cowardly if they retreated just like that. Liao Zhongshu almost lost his life to help them resist the wolf pack. If they also retreated, what was the point? Are you sure? Teacher Wen Yan sighed. Wanling Mountain is very strange this time. Some magical beasts that were originally active in the inner area have appeared in the outer area. They are very aggressive. I contacted the other teachers just now and many teams have encountered the same situation. If we continue to go deeper, I'm afraid it will be dangerous. Senhu was stunned. He scratched his head and instinctively looked at Chu Luiyue. Mu Hongyu and Gu Mingfeng also looked over at the same time. Luyu, what do you think? Mu Hongyu asked. Teacher Wen Yan was a little surprised. Wasn't the leader of their team Mu Hongyu? Why did it seem like Chu Luiyue was the backbone now? Chu Luiyue thought for a moment and calmly glanced at them. I choose to continue. Mobile users, please browse and read. A better reading experience comes from Love Network. Chapter 132. Let's continue. Mu Hongyu seemed to have taken a calming pill. She clenched her fists, and her hesitant expression became firm. Senhu nodded. Let's continue. We'll follow you. Although Gu Mingfeng didn't say anything, he nodded in agreement. Teacher Wen Yan stared blankly. This team. Was Chu Luiyue the one in charge? She said to continue, but the others didn't have any objections. They seemed to be more confident than before. They had only been in Wanling Mountain for a day. What happened to them? Liu, are you sure? Mr. Wen Yen hesitated for a while and tried to dissuade them. Wanling Mountain is different from before. It's much more dangerous. Even if you really want to hunt magical beasts, I'm afraid now is not the best time. Since we're already here, there's no reason to retreat. Chu Liyue's tone was very light, but it was steady and had the power to make others feel at ease. Mr. Wen Yen, you can bring Liao Zhongshu back. I know what I'm doing and won't risk my life. If we go back now, we'll be unwilling. Mr. Wen Yen was anxious. Liyue, I know that the few of you aren't weak, and you all have pride in your hearts. But now you're all injured. Look at the mess. Do you think I don't know how dangerous it was? As he spoke, he suddenly saw the carcass of a fiend lying not far away. His voice stopped abruptly. That was a red wolf? You were attacked by a red wolf? He came in a hurry, so he didn't see the carcass of the red wolf. Mu Hongyu still had lingering fears. Mr. Wen Yen, that's the carcass of the Red Wolf King. We were attacked by a pack of red wolves just now. This sentence made Teacher Wen Yen so shocked that he was speechless. He stepped forward and took a closer look. It was indeed the Wolf King. Although it was covered in dust and blood, its pierced head was obvious. You killed it? Lu Yu and Ming Feng killed him together. Mu Hongyu sighed. The three of us were in charge of stopping the wolf pack. Zhongshu was seriously injured because he tried to save me and Senhu. Teacher Wen Yen opened his mouth, but he couldn't say anything. Only his heart was filled with shock. Red Peak Wolves. And the Wolf King. Yet, the few of them had actually managed to withstand such a battle. Moreover, other than Liao Zhongshu, the other four seemed to have only suffered some superficial wounds. Although he knew that these people had good rankings in the midterm assessment and could be considered a strong alliance, he did not expect them to be able to reach this step. He was silent for a long time. Chu Liyue looked at the dancing flames in front of him and said softly, "Don't worry. Teacher Wen Yen, I know you're worried about us. But the path of cultivation had always been like this. If one was blindly greedy for comfort, then one would never be able to become a true expert. What do you think?" Wen Yen was shocked and looked at Chu Liyue with a complicated expression. You're right. Teacher has been overthinking things. How could one grow if they were afraid of everything? Then I'll send Zhongshu out first. You guys be careful. If anything goes wrong, immediately ask for help. Chu Liyue and the others nodded. Teacher, don't worry. After Teacher Wen Yen left with Liao Zhongshu, the few of them decided to take turns to rest. The first one was Chu Liyue. She was considered to be the one with the lighter injuries among them, so she let the others rest and recover their vitality first. The surroundings fell silent again. Chu Liyue sat cross-legged and adjusted her breathing. The scene of her battle with the Wolf King today kept replaying in her mind. This body was still too weak. When she returned, she should consider improving her physical strength. Chu Liyue felt a weight on her shoulder. She turned her head and saw a furry red dumpling squatting on top of her. You're quite smart. You ran quickly when you encountered danger and came back when it was over. Chu Liyue poked it lightly. The blood ferret's fluffy tail moved, revealing a pair of round eyes that were full of flattery. Chu Liyue raised her eyebrows and looked at it. The blood ferret moved closer and carefully extended its two claws to bow. It looked wronged and worried, and tears quickly gathered in its eyes. It was as if it would cry if Chu Liyue was a little more strict. She couldn't blame it for looking like this. Chu Liyue rubbed her forehead. There was a reason why blood ferrets were known as the weakest third-rank demonic beasts. It didn't have any other abilities, but its escaping speed was top-notch. She didn't really mean to blame it. Was she counting on this little thing to help them defeat the Red Summit Wolves? Forget it. As long as you're happy. Chu Liyue tapped its head. Realizing that Chu Liyue wasn't really angry, the little thing relaxed. It intimately moved forward and rubbed its head against her face. Chu Liyue's lips curved slightly. Nothing happened that night. Early the next morning, they set off again and headed into Wan's Spirit Mountain. The forest was lush, and the deeper they went, the quieter it was. However, such an environment made them more vigilant. This place seems a little strange. Mu Hongyu looked around and muttered softly. Chu Luiyue, who was walking in front, suddenly stopped. The others also stopped. Luyu, is there a problem? Mu Hongyu asked. After what happened the day before, they were very confident in Chu Luiyue. Chu Luiyue frowned slightly. Let's go back. Go back? But we just arrived here. They were very puzzled, but when they saw Chu Luiyue's serious expression, they didn't say anything else. However, just as they turned around and walked a few steps, a woman suddenly screamed behind them. Digression. Yesterday, when I was writing, I fell asleep while sitting down. Later, it will drop at 5 p.m. Please check your mobile phone users. A better reading experience comes from Love Network. Chapter 133. Although the voice was sharp, Chu Luiyue was very familiar with it. Gu Mingfeng's eyebrows twitched slightly, but he did not say anything. This voice? Why does it sound so familiar? Mu Hongyu wanted to look back, but Chu Luiyue pulled her back. Let's go. Otherwise, we'll be the ones crying for help. Mu Hongyu was shocked and hurriedly followed him. The few of them quickly retreated back the way they came, but the screams did not stop. They were even getting closer. Help! The screams were accompanied by messy footsteps. It was obvious that someone was running for their life. Gu Mingzhu wanted to hunt a satisfactory fiend in one spirit mountain this time. Her family had suggested that they help her choose one, but she was arrogant and refused to let others help her. She wanted to hunt by herself. Thus, she had been looking forward to this fiend tide for a long time. However, she did not expect to be in danger after just one day in one spirit mountain. She ran forward in a panic. Her heart was beating so violently that it almost jumped out of her mouth. Actually, she had used up all her energy, but she did not dare to stop. She could only keep running forward. She did not even dare to look back. In a blur, she seemed to see a few figures in the distance. Although she could not see their faces clearly, they were wearing Tianlu Academy's uniform. She was elated and quickly called for help. However, those people did not come over. After hearing her call for help, they started to retreat. Gu Mingzhu became anxious and used the last of her energy to chase after them. Help! I'm also a student of Tianlu Academy. You guys help me. Senhu could not help but look back when he heard this voice. His eyes immediately widened when he saw what was on the screen. Gu Mingzhu. Senhu knew Gu Mingzhu, but Gu Mingzhu did not know him. After all, she had always looked down on martial artists. Thus, other than the most famous ones, she had never looked at anyone else. When she heard that Senhu recognized her, she was elated. I'm Gu Mingzhu. If you help me, I'll thank you properly when I get back. Chu Luiyue suddenly stopped and looked in front of her with a serious expression. Mu Hongyu and the others sensed that something was wrong and stopped as well. Only then did Gu Mingzhu look at them carefully. Other than Senhu, the other three had their backs facing her. However, this back view was very familiar. She stared at him for a while, then frowned and asked suspiciously, Gu Mingfeng? Gu Mingfeng turned his head and looked at her expressionlessly. Gu Mingzhu showed a look of disgust. It really is you. I'm really unlucky to have met you today. His tone and expression didn't seem like he had seen a family at all. Instead, it seemed like he had seen something dirty. Gu Mingfeng's eyes flashed with coldness. Luyu, is there a problem? Mu Hongyu asked in a low voice. Hearing this name, Gu Mingzhu's eyes widened in shock. Gu Mingzhu's team was made up of Xian masters. This kind of loss was tragic. So, after killing 2 Xian masters, you want to drag us down with you? Chu Luiyue's voice was cold. Gu Mingzhu's lips moved, and she turned her head away. You guys came here on your own accord. I didn't force you guys to come. Anyway, we're all in the same boat now. None of us can escape. You guys can do whatever you want. Mu Hongyu was stunned by how shameless Gu Mingzhu was, but she was still clear-headed. She knew that this wasn't the time to argue with Gu Mingzhu. Luyu, this golden mane bear is 4th grade. Can we win if we work together? Chu Luiyue was so angry that he laughed. Golden mane bears are extremely strong and powerful. It's not easy to deal with them. More importantly, it's a female bear. Everyone was shocked. You mean? Chu Luiyue stepped forward and stared at her. What did you do? Why is this female bear chasing after you like this? Gu Mingzhu had no choice but to speak in frustration. I just wanted to take the golden mane bear cub away while it was out looking for food. I was discovered as soon as I came out. I didn't take the golden mane bear cub with me. Adult golden mane bears weren't easy to tame. Newborn golden mane bears were the easiest to tame, so she took the risk. The others agreed as well. They're all going together. You can't blame me for all of their deaths. She just didn't expect to be discovered. Chu Luiyue wanted to strangle her to death. Do you know that golden mane bears are extremely protective? If you touch its cub, it will chase after you until it's dead. It doesn't matter if you die, but can you afford to implicate us? Digression. Are you guys the devil if there are more chapters today? Mobile users, please browse and read. A better reading experience comes from Love Network. Chapter 134. Gu Mingzhu's eyelids twitched when she heard the words, "Fight to the death." She took a deep breath and forced herself to stand firm. Chu Luiyue, I'm not scared. You don't have to make up these lies to scare me. The golden mane bear is powerful, but I didn't bring its cub out. It's still in its cave. This golden mane bear wouldn't, you should know better than us. Chu Luiyue's face seemed to be covered with a layer of frost. His cold gaze made Gu Mingzhu even more nervous. She opened her mouth and wanted to explain, but under Chu Luiyue's gaze, she couldn't say a word. In the end, she could only turn her head away awkwardly. Actually, she also felt that something was wrong. After being discovered by the golden mane bear, she knew that it was bad. She immediately threw the cub back and ran away. But the golden mane bear seemed to have set its sights on her and chased her all the way. Wherever she went, it would follow. This was also why she was so nervous when she called for help. She knew that the golden mane bear was behind her and could kill her at any time. She also knew that Chu Luiyue's words were most likely true. Seeing Gu Mingzhu like this, Mu Hongyu and the rest understood everything. They were so angry that their teeth were itching. This was the same as pushing them into the fire pit. If it wasn't for Gu Mingzhu, they wouldn't be in so much trouble. Just as they were confronting each other, the golden mane bear took another step forward. Bang! The ground trembled, causing their hearts to feel uneasy. Chu Luiyue looked back. The golden mane bear stood not far from them. Many of the trees around it were broken, and the ground was a mess. It looked down at them from above. Its gray eyes were the size of a fist, cold and cruel. Chu Luiyue could clearly feel the anger in its eyes, as well as a bit of disdain as if it was looking at an ant. Usually, magical beasts of this size would win with strength. They were more or less lacking in speed. But the golden mane bear was an exception. With its ability, it would be easy for it to kill Gu Mingzhu. However, Gu Mingzhu had survived until now and had even run so far away. Without a doubt, it wanted to use this method to force Gu Mingzhu to the brink of collapse. Only when she had suffered enough pressure and pain would it be willing to make a move. They just didn't expect that they would be so unlucky to run into it. This time, the golden mane bear was going to take care of them as well. Lu Yu, how are we going to escape? Even Mu Hongyu, who had always been bold, realized the seriousness of the matter and asked nervously. You can't escape. An adult golden mane bear's combat power is almost comparable to a rank 5 warrior. Even if we join forces, we have no chance of winning. Besides, we're all injured now. Then what should we do? Are we going to die here today? Chu Luiyue held his breath. You guys hold it back first, I'll cast the Xian formation. As soon as he said this, everyone was shocked. Xian formation? Now that we are all injured, the power of the Xian formation is even greater. Mu Hongyu secretly heaved a sigh of relief. Gu Mingfeng suddenly thought of something. What level are you as a mystic cultivator now? Chu Luiyue paused. Level 2. As soon as he said this, the surroundings suddenly quieted down. Gu Mingzhu seemed to have heard the funniest joke in the world. She laughed mockingly and asked exaggeratedly, "Level 2 Mystic Cultivator? Chu Luiyue, are you kidding me? You want to defeat the Golden Mane Bear with this level? Are you dreaming?" Chu Luiyue's expression was calm. She had only been reborn for about 2 months, so the amount of heaven and earth force she could control was limited. For now, she could only cast a level 2 Xian formation. Even Mu Hongyu and the rest looked disappointed. A level 2 Mystic Cultivator? They really didn't stand a chance. Gu Mingzhu broke through to level 3 a while ago, but she was still not this fellow's match, let alone them. Zhenhu Hongyu, think of a way to hold back the Golden Mane Bear later. Gu Mingfeng, help me cast the Xian formation. Chu Luiyue gave a concise and powerful order. Mu Hongyu and Zhenhu looked at each other and nodded. But no matter what, they had to give it a try. Gu Mingfeng frowned slightly. I'm not a mystic cultivator. How can I help you? Chu Luiyue explained, when I cast the Xian formation, you just have to inject your force into it. Gu Mingfeng frowned even more. How can a mystic cultivator use other people's force to cast a Xian formation? If that was really the case, couldn't a mystic cultivator just have to find someone to help during a battle? If their force was incompatible, how could a Xian formation be cast? Not to mention this Golden Mane Bear. Chu Luiyue shook her head. I will solve this problem. As long as you help me with all your strength. Gu Mingfeng saw that she was calm and seemed to have a card up her sleeve. He hesitated for a moment before finally agreeing. I still owe you a favor, so I will definitely do my best. Chu Luiyue looked at him with a faint smile. I hope you can do as you say. Gu Mingfeng's heart skipped a beat. He didn't know why, but he felt that Chu Luiyue seemed to have noticed something. He opened his mouth to say something, but he saw that Chu Luiyue had already held her breath and raised her hands to set up the Xian formation. Mu Hongyu and Zhenhu both went forward and blocked the Golden Mane Bear. The Golden Mane Bear lowered its eyes, which were full of mockery and contempt, as if it was mocking them for overestimating their abilities. Zhenhu, I'll take the front and you back. Mu Hongyu shouted and jumped up. But Zhenhu immediately responded and broke through from another direction. The Golden Mane Bear looked at the lowly human in front of it and mercilessly slapped her with its paw. Mu Hongyu narrowly avoided it and landed on a tree trunk at the side. Even though the paw didn't hit her, the sharp wind from the paw still made Mu Hongyu feel a burning pain on her face. It wasn't hard to imagine how serious the injury would be if the paw really landed on her body. Mu Hongyu blinked her eyes with lingering fear, but she didn't dare to relax. Instead, she provoked the Golden Mane Bear again. Come on! The Golden Mane Bear was furious and slapped her again. Mu Hongyu was agile. With a flash of her shadow, she had already jumped over the Golden Mane Bear's head and landed on the other side. But the tree she was previously on was suddenly split open. On the other side, Zhenhu was also provoking the Golden Mane Bear. The two of them went back and forth, causing the Golden Mane Bear to fly into a rage. The surrounding trees were all swept away. It was a mess. Chu Luiyue's finger gently moved in the air. A silver arc flowed out from her fingertip like water. Soon, a second and third arc appeared. In just a moment, more than 10 silver arcs appeared in front of Chu Luiyue. These arcs overlapped with each other and formed a strange pattern. From afar, it looked like an 8 trigrams array. However, it looked a little empty, which was very strange. Gu Mingfeng stood not far from her and stared at her intently. The force in his body surged, and he was ready to take action at any time. However, Chu Luiyue stared at the Xian array in front of her and didn't seem to have any intention of asking him to help. Gu Mingfeng frowned and looked at the Xian array. He found it strange. He had seen Xian masters in action before. In his impression, a second-level Xian array didn't take this long to set up. Moreover, Chu Luiyue's Xian array looked a little strange. It seemed too empty. Soon he realized that Chu Luiyue didn't stop. Instead, silver arcs flowed out from her fingertips. Her Xian array was still going on. Mobile users, please browse for a better reading experience from Love Network. Chapter 135. Gu Mingzhu, who was watching from afar, finally realized that something was amiss. She put down her crossed arms and frowned. That's not right. Chu Luiyue is a level 2 Xian master. Logically speaking, she should be able to control a dozen heaven and earth force at the same time. Why is she still continuing? Her movements are smooth and natural, as if she's very relaxed. As time passed, the Xian formation in front of Chu Luiyue gradually became more complicated. Gu Mingfeng's eyelids twitched. No wonder he felt that the Xian formation looked weird. It was just a rough outline. After Chu Luiyue slowly filled it up, it finally looked normal. Even from a distance, Gu Mingfeng could already faintly feel the power contained in it. He was even more shocked. Didn't Chu Luiyue say that she's only a level 2 Xian master? This Xian formation's level is obviously higher. What is Chu Luiyue planning to do? Compared to Gu Mingfeng, who didn't know much about Xian formations, Gu Mingzhu, who was also a Xian master, was already stunned. She could clearly see that Chu Luiyue's Xian formation had already reached level 3. However, Chu Luiyue didn't seem to have any intention of stopping. Could it be that she wants to continue? How can she do that? Mu Hongyu and Sin, who had been fighting with the golden mane bear for a long time. Both of them were injured, and their strength was almost depleted. The golden mane bear was already furious after being toyed with by the two of them. It kept attacking them violently. Lu, are you done? Mu Hongyu was careless and was affected by the force. She fell out pathetically, and her face and body were covered in scratches. Chu Luiyue stared at the Xian formation in front of her. Just a few more minutes. Mu Hongyu gritted her teeth. A few minutes wasn't long, but the key was that they were facing a golden mane bear that was far stronger than them. Every minute and every second was torture. However, she still agreed without hesitation. Okay. She couldn't care less about her injuries and immediately stood up. Hongyu, move aside. Sin, who suddenly roared. Mu Hongyu's heart skipped a beat. She looked over and saw that Sen, who had suddenly charged towards the golden mane bear. Mu Hongyu's heart suddenly jumped. Sen, who had a strong body and was considered very tall and sturdy among them. However, when he stood in front of the golden mane bear, he instantly looked much smaller. Did he want to die? Facing the attack head-on was extremely dangerous. The golden mane bear looked at Sinhu, who was charging in front of it. Its eyes were burning with anger, and it suddenly opened its mouth to spit out a ball of red flames. Damn it! This guy still has tricks up his sleeve. Sinhu cursed inwardly as he lowered his body to avoid the fireball. However, the high temperatures still made him feel a burning sensation on his face. But then, he pressed his palm against the ground and crawled toward the golden mane bear. An axe appeared in his hand and he swung it at the golden mane bear. Clang! The axe fell, but the golden mane bear was unharmed. Sinhu felt as if his axe had landed on an extremely hard metal rock. The impact caused the web between his thumb and forefinger to split open, and he could not feel half of his arm. He knew that this was not good. This guy's physical strength was stronger than he had imagined. However, this time, the golden mane bear was completely enraged. It roared angrily, and its powerful aura almost shattered Sinhu's eardrums. Roar! At the same time, a large palm slapped towards his head. If he was hit, he would definitely die. Sinhu held his breath and ran half a circle around the golden mane bear's thigh. He ran behind it and avoided the attack with great difficulty. The golden mane bear's speed and strength were extremely strong. Only in close combat could Sinhu have the upper hand. However, this situation did not last for long. After failing to catch him twice, the golden mane bear gave up on him and turned to charge towards Chu Luiyue. It already felt a little uneasy and had to stop Chu Luiyue immediately. Sinhu panicked and went forward to hug the golden mane bear's thigh. The golden mane bear swung its leg and easily flung him away. He landed heavily on the ground. After being hit repeatedly, Sinhu's internal organs were almost shattered. The combination of new injuries and old injuries caused him to spit out a mouthful of blood. His breathing instantly weakened. However, just as he took a step forward, another person pounced on him. It was Mu Hongyu. At this moment, Her strength was completely exhausted. She could only use the most clumsy and dangerous method like Jianghu. Lu, quick! She shouted anxiously. Her throat was already filled with the thick smell of blood. At this moment, the Xian formation in front of Chu Luiyue was finally completed. Her face was pale, and her body was trembling because she had forcefully created a formation that was higher than her current strength. It was as if she would collapse at any moment, but her eyes were as resolute as before. Gu Mingfeng. Just as Chu Luiyue spoke, Gu Mingfeng immediately took action. With a push of his palm, strong force flowed into the Xian formation. Buzz. In an instant, the Xian formation shone brightly. The Xian formation, which was originally the size of a chessboard, expanded rapidly after Gu Mingfeng's force flowed in. Chu Luiyue stared at it and merged the two strength bit by bit. In a moment, the Xian formation had expanded to the height of a person. Light flowed and there was a faint pressure. Chu Luiyue felt as if all the strength in his body had been emptied. He was extremely weak, and his vision was turning black. From the corner of his eyes, the golden maned bear impatiently flung Mu Hongyu away and raised its leg, intending to stomp on her. The force of its kick was as strong as 1,000 caddies. Mu Hongyu lay on the ground, covered in blood. She no longer had the strength to move. Seeing the huge bear paw coming towards her, she closed her eyes in despair. Chu Luiyue clenched his teeth. Go! Boom! The Xian formation suddenly exploded. In an instant, countless rays of light shot out like a rushing river and went straight for the golden maned bear. A vast pressure instantly enveloped it. The golden maned bear sensed the danger, and panic flashed across its face. However, that terrifying power had already landed on its body. Its huge body seemed to be drowned by the rushing river. Everyone could only see countless silver lines twisting together. It locked the golden maned bear in place. Seeing this, Gu Mingzhu finally couldn't help but exclaim, "Fourth grade wood origin formation? Chu Luiyue actually used a Xian formation of this level?" Mobile users, please browse for a better reading experience from Love Network. Chapter 136. The streams of light continued to tighten. The golden maned bear kept struggling, but it was futile. It couldn't break free no matter how hard it tried. Not long after, its movements gradually slowed down. Its angry roars also gradually weakened. In the end, it stopped moving and didn't make any more sounds. Only the ground was covered in blood. It dyed a large area red, and it looked especially bloody and terrifying. When the light completely dissipated, everyone was finally able to see the scene inside. The golden maned bear, which was originally burly, had lost a lot of weight. Its body was covered in wounds, and it looked strangely twisted. The blood on the ground came from its body. Mu Hongyu only took one look before she couldn't help but turn her head away and retch. Sen, who was barely holding on, but the last bit of color had faded from his pale face. Only Gu Mingfeng was better. When he saw this scene, his eyelids only twitched. His heart was finally at ease. After solving this thorny problem, they were finally safe. But, however, more problems were quietly arising. He couldn't help but look at Chu Luiyue. He saw that the girl's expression was still very calm. Apart from her pale face from using the Xian formation, there wasn't a trace of emotion in her eyes. It was as if she didn't mind the terrifying scene in front of her. That's right. She was the one who caused this scene. If she hadn't used the Xian formation to kill the golden maned bear, they wouldn't even know if they were still alive. What kind of person was she? How could she? Gu Mingfeng pursed his lips. He had long known that Chu Luiyue wasn't ordinary. However, after today's battle, he realized that she was even more unfathomable than he had imagined. After confirming that the golden maned bear was dead, Chu Luiyue finally heaved a sigh of relief. The moment she relaxed, exhaustion overwhelmed her. She didn't even have the energy to move her fingers. She said to Gu Mingfeng, "Although it's a pity that its body was destroyed, its core of essence should still be around. You can go and retrieve it." Gu Mingfeng shook his head. "You killed it. It should belong to you." Chu Luiyue thought that if she wasn't so tired, she would have gone to get it herself. The blood ferret that had disappeared earlier appeared once again. It skipped towards the golden mane bear's mouth. With a swipe of its claws, it easily found a faint red essence pill. It wiped it clean with its tail like it was a treasure and returned to Chu Luiyue. It held it with its 2 paws and presented it to Chu Luiyue as if it was presenting a treasure. Its round eyes stared at Chu Luiyue without blinking, and its face was saying, "Praise me." Chu Luiyue could not help but laugh. This little thing ran faster than anyone else when it was in trouble, and when it was safe, it came back to curry favor. What a good scheme. However, this quick-wittedness was not annoying. Chu Luiyue accepted the gift. After thinking about it, he decided to give it to Mu Hongyu later. Thinking of this, she walked over to Mu Hongyu and helped her up. "Hongyu, how are you?" Mu Hongyu thought that she was going to die today. She did not expect to be saved by Chu Luiyue at the last moment. She could not help but feel grateful and thankful. She endured the pain and wiped the blood off her face. "I'm fine. It's just a flesh wound. I'll be fine after some rest. If it wasn't for you, you and Jianghu risked your lives to stop it. That's why we won." Chu Luiyue shook her head gently. Her gaze lingered on Mu Hongyu's shoulder for a moment. It looked like she had broken a bone. "Sit down and rest first. I'll help you set the bone later." Mu Hongyu realized that Gu Mingfeng had seen through her and laughed bitterly. "Your eyes are too sharp." Chu Luiyue did not mention that she had already checked her pulse when she helped her up. Actually, this was not the most important thing. The most serious injury on Mu Hongyu's body was actually her internal injury. After Chu Luiyue settled her down, she went to check on Jianghu's condition. Jianghu was in a worse state than Mu Hongyu. He was already injured, and he had risked his life to fight. It was simply one disaster after another. His left forearm was fractured, and 2 of his ribs were broken. His condition was not optimistic. Fortunately, Jianghu was rough to begin with. Although he was in pain, he could endure it. Chu Luiyue set his bone first. He was in so much pain that his forehead was covered in sweat, but he did not make a sound. When Chu Luiyue finished bandaging him, he even grinned from ear to ear. "Luiyue, you're really good. Even a 4th-grade fiend is no match for you. Your Xian formation is definitely not a 2nd-grade one, right? You previously said that you were a 2nd-grade mystic cultivator. If I didn't see it with my own eyes, I would have been fooled by you." Chu Luiyue smiled. "I'm indeed a 2nd-grade mystic cultivator. Without Gu Mingfeng's help, I wouldn't have been able to use it." Jianghu felt that something was amiss, but he could not put his finger on it. He could only say, "In any case, you're very impressive. I think you're much more impressive than those haughty mystic cultivators in the academy." In the past, the entire imperial city called her a good-for-nothing. Little did they know that she was the true top-notch genius. Upon hearing this, Chu Luiyue paused and looked behind him. He had actually forgotten that there was someone else here. Gu Mingzhu. Sensing Chu Luiyue looking at her, Gu Mingzhu shuddered and felt a trace of fear in her heart. The scene just now was truly too frightening. Her stomach churned for a long time before she finally calmed down. However, the raging waves in her heart could not be calmed down for a long time. Chu Luiyue could actually use a 4th-grade mystic formation. Didn't they say that she had just started cultivating not long ago? Didn't they say that she was only a 2nd-grade mystic cultivator? Then how could she explain everything just now? What do you want to do?" Gu Mingzhu asked in a trembling voice. "Nothing. I just want to settle the score with you now that the matter has been resolved." As Chu Luiyue spoke, he looked at Gu Mingfeng with a grin. "Gu Mingfeng, do you mind helping me keep an eye on her?" Gu Mingzhu raised her brows and shrieked. "How dare you!" Gu Mingfeng nodded without a word and walked toward Gu Mingzhu. He took out a rope and tied her up tightly. Although Gu Mingzhu was a 3rd-grade mystic cultivator, the continuous escape had already exhausted her strength. Right now, she was no match for a martial artist like Gu Mingfeng. She was so angry that her face flushed red, and she kept cursing. "Gu Mingfeng, you're crazy. Who are you to dare lay a hand on me? Do you believe that I'll go back and tell the patriarch to punish you?" Gu Mingfeng was expressionless as he pretended not to hear anything and tied her hands behind her back as well. Ungrateful be asterisk starred. You, slap. A resounding slap interrupted Gu Mingzhu's insults. Her face was tilted to the side, and her left cheek quickly swelled up. Gu Mingfeng stared at her with a cold gaze. I never said that I don't hit women. Also, if you want to go back and complain, you'll have to see if you have the life to do so. Gu Mingzhu looked at him and realized that the young man from a lowly background who was always taciturn and allowed her to bully him had unknowingly grown up and become extremely dangerous. Chu Luiwei walked to Mu Hongyu's side, pressed down on her shoulders, and carefully helped her set her bones. She didn't even raise her head as she lightly said. He didn't even raise his head and said, "It won't be too late to let her die after she collects all the debts she owes us." Chapter 137. Chu Liyue's words made Gu Mingzhu feel uneasy. She put on a fierce front. Chu Liyue, what are you trying to do? Let me tell you, I'm the second daughter of the Gu family. If you really do anything to me, the Gu family won't let you off. Chu Liyue couldn't be bothered with her. Make her shut up. Gu Mingfeng looked around and tore off a section of Gu Mingzhu's sleeve. He rolled it into a ball and stuffed it into her mouth. Half of Gu Mingzhu's arm was exposed. She instantly felt humiliated and angry. She whimpered a few times but couldn't say anything. Gu Mingfeng suddenly glanced at her. Gu Mingzhu immediately remembered the slap he gave her and instinctively stopped. She didn't dare to make a fuss anymore. This Gu Mingfeng looked especially gloomy and fierce today. She even felt that if she angered him, he would really kill her. Gu Mingzhu still cherished her life. After the fear grew in her heart, she obediently shut her mouth. Chu Luiwei ground the golden mane bear's pill of essence into powder and mixed it with 2 herbs that he carried with him. He then gave it to Mu Hongyu. When Xinhu saw this, he couldn't help but ask, "Luyu, why is Hongyu and I treated differently? I swallowed the pill of essence directly, but you were so meticulous with Hongyu. You can't treat me like this just because I'm an uncouth man." Mu Hongyu felt that she had recovered a lot and was in a good mood. She couldn't help but raise her chin proudly. "Xinhu, do you still know that you're a man? Why are you so jealous? Of course, Luyu treats me the best. All of you have to be behind him. You're not as likable as me." Her words made everyone laugh. Chu Luiwei said, "The livid horse is a 3rd-grade fiend. It's fine to consume the pill of essence directly. However, the golden mane bear is different. Hongyu happened to be injured and her body is weak. If she uses the entire pill of essence, the disadvantages will outweigh the advantages." She placed the remaining powder of the pill of essence in Mu Hongyu's hand and instructed her seriously. "Divide the remaining powder into 2 doses. Use it once every 8 hours. Your injuries will be healed greatly." "Really? That's great." Mu Hongyu happily put away the things. Thinking of what had happened today, she felt very emotional. "I really didn't expect that I could use the powder ground from the golden mane bear's core of origin to heal my injuries. Furthermore, I was the one who helped you hunt it." Lu Yu had said that the 4 of them had contributed greatly as well. This victory belonged to the 4 of them. Even though he was injured, he would still be proud of such a battle result. In the past, news of Rong Jin hunting a 4th-grade fiend had spread for a long time. Compared to the one he hunted, their fiend was only stronger. Even in the entire academy, they could definitely be considered as the most outstanding batch. Sigh, it's a pity that the golden mane bear died. Otherwise, it would have been great to hunt it. Xinhu smacked his lips. That's a rank 4 magical beast. Chu Liyue's lips curved up. That golden mane bear is a female bear that has been offended. There's no way it can be tamed. Keeping it by our side will only cause trouble. Xinhu chuckled. I'm just saying. In that situation, either it died or we died. Of course, we had to end it. Mu Hongyu leaned against the tree trunk with her uninjured shoulder and could not help but agree. 4th-grade fiends aren't easy to find. Now that we're all injured, it'll be difficult for us to deal with fiends of this level in the future. It was not easy for them to meet one, but they did not expect it to be in danger because of Gu Mingzhu. Chu Luiwei and Gu Mingfeng were better off, but her and Sinhu's injuries were indeed quite serious. They probably would not be able to gain much from Wanling Mountain this time. Sigh, I originally wanted to hunt a rank 4 magical beast, but it seems like there's no hope now. Chu Liwei suddenly knocked on her forehead lightly. Who said that there's no hope? Mu Hongyu widened her almond-shaped eyes. Don't tell me, you want to help me hunt? Chu Liwei smiled meaningfully. Why go through so much trouble? Isn't there a ready-made one? It's just inside. Gu Mingzhu stood at the entrance of a cave and said unwillingly. You walk in front. Chu Liwei said. Gu Mingzhu suppressed the anger in her heart and turned to walk inside. Chu Liwei and the others followed closely behind. Gu Mingzhu was tightly tied up, so they were not worried that she would do anything or suddenly escape. The cave did not look big, but it was very spacious inside. They walked for a while before reaching the innermost part. Chu Liwei saw a den at first glance. That's where the golden mane bear cub is. Gu Mingzhu said unwillingly. She was almost annoyed to death. She thought that she could pick up a treasure, but who knew that she would be killed? In the end, she even provoked Chu Liwei, who was difficult to deal with. She was tied up yesterday and could not sit or lie down. She stood like that for the entire night and looked much more haggard. However, Chu Liwei did not let her go just like that. Instead, he asked her to tell him where she found the golden mane bear cub. She had no choice but to bring them here. As if it heard the movement, there was a sound in the den, as if something was moving. Then a round head poked out. It's really a golden mane bear cub. Mu Hongyu exclaimed softly. The golden mane bear cub was only the length of an adult's forearm. Its fur was still light gray, and there was a circle of slightly darker fur around its neck. It was obvious that it was born not long ago. When it grew up, its fur would naturally turn golden brown. It blinked and looked curiously at Chu Liwei and the others. It scratched its round ears, as if it did not understand what was going on. In the end, its gaze landed on Mu Hongyu, and it opened its arms wide. Mu Hongyu's eyes widened. WW, what does it mean? WW, want me to hug it? Chu Liwei thought for a moment. It's probably because you took the pill of essence. It felt a familiar aura from you, so it's especially close to you. Really? Mu Hongyu was skeptical. While they were talking, the golden mane bear cub saw that it did not get a response for a long time. It crawled out on its own and staggered to Mu Hongyu. It pounced on her leg and hugged it tightly. Mu Hongyu's heart melted instantly. She quickly hugged the cub. The golden mane bear cub was satisfied. It leaned on her shoulder and rubbed against it affectionately. Chu Liwei joked with a smile. It's still too young. It can't survive here alone. Why don't you take care of it in the future? Mu Hongyu was surprised and happy. Really? No one here is more suitable than you. Mu Hongyu naturally would not refuse. This was the cub of a 4th-grade magical beast. It was the easiest to tame and was the best choice for hunting. Moreover, this golden mane bear cub was very close to her. She really liked it. Then I won't hold back. Mu Hongyu carefully hugged the golden mane bear cub and pinched its ears. Chu Liwei suddenly felt a little itchy on her cheek. She looked down and saw that the cub had poked its head over, as if it was waiting for something. Seeing that Chu Liwei did not move, its 2 pointed ears twitched. Chu Liwei raised her eyebrows. This is asking for a pet. Mobile users, please browse for a better reading experience from Love Network. Chapter 138. Chu Liwei stretched out her hand and tapped its head. Don't always compare yourself to others. The little thing shuddered and looked up with a pained expression, as if it didn't expect Chu Liwei to say something so heartless. It only wanted to be touched. Wasn't this request too outrageous? It grabbed Chu Liwei's finger and pressed it to its ear. Touch me. Chu Liwei. It was so small, but it had such a big temper. She had no choice but to pinch the soft, fluffy ears. It felt good. Only then was the little thing satisfied. It angrily turned around, swept its tail, and buried its face in it. Chu Liwei couldn't help but laugh. Can you let me go now? Gu Mingzhu suddenly said in a cold tone. She was obviously full of resentment for what she had experienced in the past day and night. Chu Luiyue blinked. What are you dreaming about? You caused us to walk between life and death. Do you think we'll let it go just like that? But you already got the golden mane bear cub. We deserve it. We defeated the golden mane bear. As long as we use its pill of essence as a clue, we'll find this place sooner or later. We only let you lead the way to save some time. You don't think this is a great contribution, do you? Chu Luiyue spoke softly and slowly. These two simple sentences made Gu Mingzhu speechless. At this moment, she finally realized that Chu Luiyue really didn't plan on letting her go so easily. Then what do you want? Chu Luiyue, don't go overboard. I still have a signal tube on me. If you dare to do anything to me, I'll definitely seek justice from the teachers and elders. Chu Luiyue looked at the agitated Gu Mingzhu and smiled indifferently and mockingly. That's good. We can also take the opportunity to ask. You caused 2 of our fellow disciples to die tragically, 2 of them to go missing, and you even dragged us into danger. How should we punish you for doing these things? Gu Mingzhu bit her lip hard. Rumble. A muffled voice that sounded like a sudden clap of thunder was heard. Chu Luiyue frowned and quickly walked out of the cave. When she stood halfway up the mountain and looked down, she was completely stunned. What's wrong? What happened? This commotion is… Sen, who was the first to catch up. When he reached Chu Luiyue's side, he noticed that something was wrong with her expression and couldn't help but follow her gaze. The moment he saw it, his eyes widened. At the foot of the mountain, in the forest, a group of magical beasts were rushing towards their mountain. Second-grade silver-feathered wind-chasing deer. Sen, who took a closer look and saw the silver feathers on their heads. He instantly recognized them. This kind of magical beast was actually very common. It had a gentle temperament and was extremely fast. Aristocratic families usually hunted them as mounts. However, they had always been alone. Why were there so many of them gathered all of a sudden? At a rough glance, there were at least 30 to 40 of them. However, this was not all. Behind them was a group of black bats. They flew over with a whoosh. Sinhu's face twitched. 3rd-grade purple thunder bats? Aren't these poisonous creatures only active at night? Why are they out in broad daylight now? Moreover, there are more of them than the silver-feathered wind-chasing deer. Chu Luiyue slowly clenched her fists in her sleeves. She quickly scanned the surroundings, her gaze heavy. At this moment, Mu Hongyu and the rest had also caught up. When they saw the situation at the foot of the mountain, they were also shocked. Wait, there's one in the northwest too. That's a fire cloud leopard? There's one in the south too. It's a golden-eyed beast. The few of them looked at each other. Mu Hongyu couldn't help but ask. Could it be, this is the magical beast tide? Otherwise, there was no way to explain the sudden appearance of so many magical beasts. Moreover, they were moving in unison. But shouldn't they be moving towards the center of Wanling Mountain? We're still in the periphery. Why are they moving towards us? Sen, who was puzzled. Chu Luiyue slowly clenched her fists in her sleeves. We're surrounded. At the same time, the others in Wanling Mountain also sensed that something was amiss. Somewhere, Si Ting and the rest were surrounded by 3rd-grade red flaming tigers. The battle was in a stalemate and both sides were injured. Si Yang wiped the blood off his face and gritted his teeth. Big brother, these red flaming tigers seem to be at odds with us. What should we do? They were unlucky to have met a lone red flaming tiger, so they helped a teammate hunt it. Who knew that the red flaming tigers would follow their auras and fight with them? After such a tough battle, they were almost exhausted. However, these red flaming tigers seemed to want to fight to the death with them. They had never heard of the magical beasts in Wanling Mountain being so difficult to deal with. Si Ting frowned. Zhou Yun and the other 2 are severely injured. We have to send them back immediately. Si Yang smiled bitterly. I've already pulled the signal tube, but teacher hasn't arrived yet. Big brother, the situation this time doesn't seem right. Si Ting pursed his thin lips. In fact, they all had this premonition. These magical beasts seemed to have been provoked by something, and their attacks were extremely strong. They had also met other teams earlier, and the situation was tragic. Many of them had already left with serious injuries. Teacher hadn't arrived yet, and he was probably delayed on the way. A red flaming tiger suddenly roared. Jianghu and the rest stared at them even more nervously, afraid that they would charge forward together. However, what surprised them was that the red flaming tiger suddenly turned around and ran into the forest. The other red flaming tigers followed closely behind. In the blink of an eye, they all disappeared. What's going on? Jianghu was stunned. Could it be that the magical beast tide has appeared? According to teacher, the magical beasts in Wanling Mountain would all rush toward one place at a time. Si Ting's heart was in his mouth. No, they're not going to the center of the mountain. More and more magical beasts gathered at the foot of the mountain. The few people standing on the mountain fell into a strange silence. They had already sensed that extreme danger was approaching. How can this be? Why are they coming for us? The golden mane bear cub in Mu Hongyu's arms suddenly became restless and struggled uneasily. She hugged and coaxed it for a while before finally calming it down. Chu Luiwei didn't say anything. These magical beasts weren't coming for them. They were coming for her. Digression: I planted a little devil and reaped a bunch of big devils. Mobile users, please browse and read. A better reading experience comes from Love Network. Chapter 139. Chu Luiwei could not understand why. She had never been to Wanling Mountain and had never hunted any fiends to provoke them. However, no matter if it was the livid horse at the beginning or the red wolf pack later on, she could clearly feel that these magical beasts were indeed coming for her. Lu Yu, what should we do now? Even someone as bold as Mu Hongyu felt uneasy when she saw this. Chu Luiwei pondered for a moment. Teacher Dongfang once said that the fiends in Wanling Mountain rarely leave the forest. If we go out, we might be able to shake them off. Mu Hongyu nodded in realization. Yes. Let's leave this place quickly. They could deal with one or two fiends or even a group of them. However, the number of fiends heading here was uncountable. If they were to face them head-on, they would definitely die. Even if the elders and teachers came, they might not be their match. Gu Mingfeng suddenly spoke up, his expression tense. It might be a little difficult to leave now. They looked down the mountain again and saw that the golden-eyed demon beasts had stopped at the foot of the mountain. They were lined up neatly like an army and looked up. Countless pairs of cold and cruel eyes were like sharp blades that scraped across their bodies. That was pure murderous intent. They have blocked the way over there. Sen Hu said softly. Gu Mingfeng shook his head. No, all of our paths have been sealed. Almost at the same time that the golden-eyed demon beast rushed over, other magical beasts also arrived from other directions, blocking their way down the mountain. At a glance, it was a vast expanse of darkness. The air was filled with a strong murderous intent. Everyone fell into silence. Anyone could tell that they were in a desperate situation. With such a great disparity in strength, the outcome was obvious. Mu Hongyu's face was pale. Are we really going to die here today? She looked at Chu Luiwei almost instinctively and saw that she was also frowning. Mu Hongyu suddenly mocked herself in her heart. She was really confused. In this situation, even if Chu Luiwei had 3 heads and 6 arms, he would still be helpless. None of them spoke. The atmosphere seemed to have been frozen, cold, and heavy. Go back. Chu Luiwei suddenly said. Everyone was taken aback. Back to where? We're surrounded now, there's no way we can break through and leave. Back to the cave. Chu Luiwei said as he turned around and walked towards the cave. The first to react was actually Gu Mingzhu. She took a step back and screamed, I'm not going back. Chu Luiwei frowned and turned to look at her. Gu Mingzhu was probably shocked by the scene at the foot of the mountain. She was already a little hysterical. Chu Luiwei, don't drag me down if you want to die. The entire mountain had been surrounded. Going back to the cave was a dead end. I won't go back with you. Chu Luiwei looked at her as if she was crazy. At this moment, she was not in the mood to care about her. Moreover, she did not intend to bring Gu Mingzhu along as a burden. Up to you. With that said, he looked at Mu Hongyu and the others and raised his chin. Hurry up. Time waits for no one. Hearing Chu Liuyue's words, Mu Hongyu and the others immediately followed. Even though he didn't know what Chu Liyue was up to, her expression and tone always had the power to make people feel at ease. Moreover, after going through so many things, they had long regarded Chu Liyue as their backbone. At this moment, whatever she said to do, they would naturally do as she said. Their figures quickly disappeared from the cave. Only Gu Mingzhu was left halfway up the mountain. She only came back to her senses when they were completely out of sight. She was in disbelief. Chu Liyue and the others actually let her go so easily? The roar of the fiends in the forest woke Gu Mingzhu up abruptly. She glanced down and sensed a strong murderous intent. Her legs turned to jelly and she almost knelt on the ground. Oh no. She couldn't die here. She had to leave this place alive. Fortunately, she still had a trump card. They walked into the cave again. Senhu followed behind Chu Liyue and could not help but look back. He was somewhat indignant. Lu Yu, we haven't settled the score with her yet. Are you going to let her go just like that? That's letting her off too easily. Chu Liyue said indifferently. Since she wants to die, why should we stop her? Senhu's eyes lit up. You mean, there are so many people outside. It's almost impossible for her to escape. She'll just be courting death. She could clearly see through Gu Mingzhu's thoughts. Instead of wasting energy to deal with her, it was better to let her jump into a fire pit. Forget it, let's not care about her. Lu Yu, let's think about what we should do first, shall we? It's not a good idea to keep hiding in this cave. Mu Hongyu hugged the golden mane bear cub, still looking worried. Who says we're going to sit here and wait for death? Chu Liyue asked softly. The three of them looked at each other. Golden mane bears are very powerful, but they hibernate every winter. Usually, to avoid being disturbed by other magical beasts, they won't hibernate in their usual dens. Instead, they'll choose a more secretive place. That place is usually connected to their dens, so it's convenient for them to move around. Chu Liyue explained patiently as they walked in. However, these words immediately made Mu Hongyu and the other two react. You're saying that we can go from here to where the golden mane bear hibernates and escape without a trace? As they spoke, they had already reached the den where the golden mane bear cub was. Senhu rushed over excitedly, but after looking around, he did not find anything out of the ordinary. He could not help but feel disappointed. There's nothing here. Lu Yu, don't tell me there's no way to get to where the golden mane bear hibernates? After all, this entire mountain belongs to it. Wouldn't it be the same if it went outside? If it's so easy to find, this golden mane bear wouldn't have survived until now. As Chu Liyue spoke, he motioned for Mu Hongyu to put the golden mane bear cub down. The golden mane bear cub suddenly left the warm embrace and was confused for a moment. It could not help but blink and wanted to crawl towards Mu Hongyu again. Chu Liyue made Mu Hongyu move away while he went forward and tapped its head lightly. Its round body immediately flipped over. The golden mane bear cub did not admit defeat and continued to move forward. Chu Liyue stopped it again. After a few times, it finally stopped and glared at Chu Liyue pitifully before turning to leave. It wobbled to a certain place and finally laid down against the mountain wall. Chu Liyue's eyes lit up. He quickly walked forward and squatted down to take a closer look. Indeed, the color of the mountain wall was different from the other places. It's here. She pressed one hand on the wall and pushed with force. Creak, a hole suddenly appeared on the mountain wall. Mobile users, please browse for a better reading experience from Love Network. Chapter 140. Did you find it? Seeing the sudden appearance of the cave, they were overjoyed. Chu Liyue looked inside. It was dark inside, and she could barely see anything. Use this. A hand suddenly reached out, and in that hand was a grape-sized luminous pearl that emitted a bright light. Chu Liyue took the pearl and nodded at Gu Mingfeng. Thank you. It's my pleasure. With the help of the luminous pearl, Chu Liyue could finally see the situation inside the cave. The path in the cave leads downwards. There are stairs. Everyone be careful. With that, she took the lead and walked down. Mu Hongyu hugged the golden mane bear cub again and quickly followed. When she passed by Gu Mingfeng, she smiled. Gu Mingfeng, you have quite a lot of things on you. This luminous pearl is worth a lot. Gu Mingfeng's status in the Gu family was very low. Usually, when he was in school, he was more frugal with his food and clothing. Thus, Mu Hongyu and Sun Hu were very shocked when he suddenly took out the luminous pearl. Gu Mingfeng lowered his eyes and didn't say anything. He followed. Mu Hongyu was stunned and looked at Sun Hu. Did she say something wrong? But she didn't say anything. Chu Liuyue's heart skipped a beat. Gu Mingfeng obviously didn't want to talk about this. But she didn't ask in detail and just continued walking. This was a long and narrow tunnel. As they walked, although they could only see the situation around them, they could still feel that this path was very winding. Chu Liyue silently calculated in her heart. She guessed that they should have walked down some distance, but she didn't know if they had reached the foot of the mountain. And the direction was not clear. But she couldn't care about that now. It would be best if they could use this path to avoid the attacks of the magical beasts. Oh my God, this golden mane bear is too powerful. Just this path in the mountain must have taken a lot of effort, right? Sun Hu sighed as they walked. To ordinary people, this is naturally a huge project. But the golden mane bear's body is very strong. This is not difficult for it. Sun Hu was speechless. The golden mane bear is so strong, but it was still defeated by you. If you ask me, Luyu, you're the scariest one. Chu Liyue couldn't help but laugh. She had said a few times that they were able to defeat the golden mane bear because of their combined strength, but Sun Hu seemed to think that she was hiding something and admired her a lot. With such a straightforward personality, it was hard for him to change his mind once he decided on something. Thus, Chu Liyue decided not to explain further and just let him be. They didn't see the end of it. Sun Hu was a little. When is this going to end? Before she could finish speaking, the golden mane bear cub in Mu Hongyu's arms suddenly moved. When Chu Liyue saw this, she finally heaved a sigh of relief. Almost there. They continued walking. Sure enough, it didn't take long for their vision to open up. A huge cave appeared in front of them. Sun Hu quickened his pace and was the first to walk over. He quickly looked around and the excitement on his face froze. That's not right. Luyu, why isn't there an exit here? Chu Liyue rubbed her forehead helplessly. This is where the golden mane bear hibernates. It's meant to prevent it from being disturbed. Why would there be an exit here? Then how do we get out? Chu Liyue walked over step by step and scanned the surroundings. Naturally, we'll make an exit ourselves. Her tone was calm and natural, as if she was saying that the weather was good today. It was as if she didn't find her words shocking at all. Even Gu Mingfeng couldn't help but frown. Make an exit? From here? Chu Liyue nodded. If we work together, it shouldn't take too long. Luyu, are you serious? Mu Hongyu stared at her in a daze. We don't even know where we are. What if this place is at the bottom of the mountain? Won't we have to dig for months? It won't take that long. I've already looked around. The walls here are made of the same stone as the cave. We're still in the mountain. That's the center of the mountain, so we're definitely closer to the outside now. As long as we make an exit, everything won't be a problem. Chu Liyue looked at the others who were still in a daze. Otherwise, do you have a better idea? They fell silent. Gu Mingfeng took a deep breath. Tell us, where should we start? When Chu Liyue and the others walked through the secret passage in the mountain, the situation outside became more and more tense. Unknowingly, the outside of the mountain was surrounded by many magical beasts. Fierce murderous intent filled the air, and it was frightening. However, they didn't go up the mountain to attack. Instead, they lined up neatly and looked like they were ready for battle. It looked like they were waiting for something. If someone saw this scene, they would definitely feel that something was wrong. But Gu Mingzhu didn't think so. She found a remote corner in the middle of the mountain and hid behind a big rock. After waiting for a while, she realized that the magical beasts didn't attack immediately. She couldn't help but heave a sigh of relief. Fortunately, there was always a way out. Although she didn't know why these magical beasts suddenly stopped, she felt very lucky. Because what she needed the most now was time. She touched her waist with one hand, looking anxious and excited. As long as no one disturbed her, she could escape safely. Suddenly, the smile on her face froze, and she looked at her belt in disbelief. That's not right. That thing was clearly here. Why is it gone now? Somewhere in Wanling Mountain. Wen Yen was rushing when he suddenly heard footsteps. His heart suddenly jumped. Looking over, he finally saw that the person who had come was Bai Chen. Behind him was Si Ting and the others. They were in a hurry and seemed to be rushing to do something. When Yen went forward, Bai Chen, where are you going? Are Si Ting and the rest injured too? Bai Chen saw that it was Wen Yen and quickly took a few steps forward with a serious expression. Wen Yen, do you feel that something is wrong? Wen Yen was stunned. You mean, the magical beasts in Wanling Mountain are more aggressive than before? Bai Chen nodded and then shook his head. Not entirely. There were signs of this yesterday. A few elders and teachers already knew about it and sent many seriously injured students out. But now, there is something more serious. What is it? Wen Yen asked curiously. Bai Chen took a deep breath and briefly told him about what Si Ting and the others had encountered earlier. In fact, it's not just them. Many people encountered the same situation. If I'm not wrong, the magical beasts in Wanling Mountain seem to have received some kind of command at that moment. Or rather, an order. That's why they were so consistent. The most important thing is that in the past, all the magical beasts went into the mountain range. But this time, Wen Yan's heart jumped. I'm afraid the one who can control these magical beasts is... Boom! An earth-shattering explosion suddenly sounded. The few of them looked up and saw a mountain peak in the distance suddenly collapse. A huge magical beast spread its wings and soared into the sky. Boundless pressure covered the sky and covered the earth. That's a high-level magical beast. Mobile users, please browse and read. A better reading experience comes from the Love Network. Chapter 141. It was a large, blood-red python. The scales on its body shone with a cold, iron-blooded glow under the sunlight. The black bone wings on its back almost covered the entire sky. His powerful and terrifying aura made it hard for people to breathe. Seeing this scene, everyone was stunned. Bai Chen widened his eyes, almost thinking that he had seen wrongly. That's a 7th-grade black flying python? Si Ting and the rest were shocked. A 7th-grade advanced fiend. That powerful existence that only existed in legends. Quick, retreat. When Yan's lips turned pale, he immediately reacted and shouted, inform everyone in the academy to retreat from Wanling Mountain. The moment the black flying python appeared, all the fiends in Wanling Mountain roared in unison. The sound was earth-shattering. That was their way of expressing their submission. The black flying python flapped its wings, and its body flashed. It quickly headed toward the mountain where Chu Luiyue and the rest were. All the fiends welcomed it respectfully. The fiends had a strict hierarchy. As a 7th-grade black flying python, it naturally had the highest status here. In fact, this was indeed its territory. It was very fast. In just a few breaths, it was already in front of the mountain. Its cold and green eyes were filled with indifferent murderous intent. Then, it let out a strange sound from its throat. The fiends gathered at the foot of the mountain responded in unison. Then they rushed toward the mountain. Why did it disappear? The family head had specially given it to her in the past because he was worried that she would encounter danger. She could not bear to use it when she was chased by the golden mane bear, but she knew that she had to use it now. But why couldn't she find it? Gu Mingzhu searched her body again, but she still could not find it. She gradually panicked. If she did not have that thing, how could she leave this place safely? She could not help but look up at the fiend in midair. Although she could not recognize what it was, she was sure that it was an extremely dangerous high-level fiend. And now, it seemed to be planning to attack. What should she do? Gu Mingzhu was so anxious that her heart was beating wildly. Her face was pale and her limbs were cold. Rumble. Just as she was feeling worried, a loud sound was heard. She looked over in shock, only to see that the magical beasts at the foot of the mountain were suddenly charging towards the mountain peak. With so many magical beasts charging at her at the same time, it almost caused the rocks under her feet to tremble. She became more and more afraid and ran in a certain direction in a panic. Chu Luiwei and the others were just about to start looking for the exit when they felt a powerful fluctuation. A few pieces of gravel fell from the mountain wall. Mu Hongyu was shocked. What's wrong? What happened outside? It seems like someone is attacking. No. It should be those magical beasts. Jianghu suddenly came back to his senses. Who else could it be other than them? Why are they attacking the mountain? Are they trying to force us out? Mu Hongyu frowned. Why are they targeting us? Chu Luiwei lowered his eyes slightly. Gu Mingfeng narrowed his eyes when he saw her expression. Do you want to continue? They all looked at Chu Luiwei. Under such circumstances, there didn't seem to be much point in continuing to stay here and break out of another exit. Perhaps they didn't have the time at all. With those magical beasts chasing them so crazily, they would only die if they stayed here. Chu Luiwei pondered for a moment and finally said, Continue. I'll go back. What? Mu Hongyu was shocked and pulled her back. Are you crazy? Won't you be courting death if you go back now? The entire mountain has been surrounded. Even if we don't go out, we won't be able to escape. If I go back, I can still buy some time. Take advantage of this opportunity to continue forward and break out of another exit. It should be safer to go out from there. As Chu Luiwei spoke, she suddenly took something out of her sleeve. It was a palm-sized black crystal disc with some engravings on it. It looked very mysterious and had a faint suppressive aura. Shock flashed across Gu Mingfeng's eyes when he saw this. He immediately looked at Chu Luiwei. This is Black Xian Formation Crystal? Mu Hongyu recognized what it was and exclaimed. Why do you have this? The so-called Black Xian Formation Crystal was a Xian formation engraved on a black crystal to seal the power of the Xian formation inside. This item was extremely precious because even a low-level Xian master could activate the Xian formation on it with just a little bit of power. From there, they could use a Xian formation of a higher level, and the attack power would naturally be stronger. However, this Black Xian Formation crystal was extremely difficult to engrave. It was rare even for aristocratic families. Chu Luiwei shook her head. This isn't mine. It's Gu Mingzhu's. Gu. Mu Hongyu was at a loss for words, but she immediately reacted. You secretly took it? Chu Luiwei raised her eyebrows nonchalantly. That's not important. She owes us so much. Just take it as some interest for now. Jianghu gave him a thumbs up in admiration. I was wondering why you let her off so easily. She was still complaining that you let her off too easily. So you simply took drastic measures to deal with her. No wonder Gu Mingzhu didn't want to come with us. There are so many fiends at the foot of the mountain, but she dared to stay outside and planned to escape alone. So it's because she has this treasure as her trump card. There is a level 5 Xian formation engraved on it. It's extremely powerful and can help you a lot. After Chu Luiwei finished speaking, she handed the Black Xian Formation crystal to Gu Mingfeng. I've already activated more than half of the Xian Formation on it. You just need to inject a bit more power into it, and it will be completely activated. I'll leave Hongyu and Jianghu to you. Gu Mingfeng was stunned. He didn't expect Chu Luiwei to say such a thing. Leave the two of them to me. Does she trust me? Chu Luiwei seemed to have seen through Gu Mingfeng's doubts. Her lips curled up slightly and her gaze was fixed. I'll see you outside the mountain. Gu Mingfeng didn't know what to feel. He had never been so valued and trusted by anyone before. Even though he had outstanding talent, he was still looked down upon and humiliated because of his lowly background. Everyone in the Gu family said that he was cold-blooded and was just an ingrate. They had the same blood flowing in their veins, but they also gave him the deepest pain. But Chu Luiwei, they had only known each other for a few days, but she was actually willing to trust him so much. He looked into her eyes. There was no contempt, sarcasm, or mockery in those clear and bright eyes. There was only calmness and calmness. She was serious. Gu Mingfeng felt something surging in his heart. In the end, he reached out and took the black Xian formation crystal. Okay. Chu Liuyue's eyes curved into crescents as she smiled. Since Gu Mingfeng said so, it meant that he was willing to give it his all. Mu Hongyu and Sun, who were injured. After she left, they could only rely on him. She returned the luminous pearl to Gu Mingfeng and didn't say anything else. She turned and left. Her figure quickly disappeared into the darkness. Lu Yu, Mu Hongyu took a step forward, wanting to stop her. Gu Mingfeng walked in front of her. Since she said that she'll see you outside the mountain, she definitely won't go back on her words. Instead of worrying, why don't we act quickly and meet up with her? We don't have much time. The longer we delay, the more danger she will be in. Mu Hongyu bit her red lips. She was struggling in her heart. Finally, she nodded vigorously. Let's go. Mobile users, please browse and read. A better reading experience comes from Love Network. Chapter 142. Chu Luiyue walked alone in the tunnel. The closer she got to the outside, the clearer she could feel the power of the attack. She could imagine what was going on outside. Rocks continued to fall from the mountain walls, smashing into her side. However, Chu Luiyue did not stop. She walked out firmly. This trip was dangerous, but she had to go. Moreover, she also wanted to know why the demonic beasts in Wanling mountain range were so against her. She felt an itch on her neck. She looked down at the blood ferret on her shoulder. It's dangerous outside. You'd better not follow me. The little thing shook its head. It wanted to follow her. Chu Luiyue chuckled and tapped its head. Aren't you very timid? You ran faster than anyone else when we were in danger. Why do you want to follow me now? I'm not kidding. You should know what's going on outside. There's really no need to follow me. The little thing seemed to be hurt by her words. It puffed up its cheeks angrily and glared at her. Then, it turned around and faced her with its butt. I said I'm not going, so I'm not going. It wasn't that kind of cowardly creature. Could it be that in her eyes, it was like this? I want to follow her. Chu Luiyue did not know whether to laugh or cry. She felt warm inside. It's not impossible if you want to follow me out. However, if you encounter danger, just run for your life. Do you hear me? The little thing swung its tail and covered its ears. Chu Luiyue took a deep breath and continued walking out. At the same time, on the other side of Wanling Mountain, Elder Sun and the rest were caught off guard by the sudden appearance of the black flying python in the sky. What's going on? Why would the black flying python appear there at this time? Elder Sun was shocked. The other teachers who came with him looked at each other. Elder Sun, you know there's a black flying python here? Elder Sun nodded with a serious expression. The entire Wanling Mountain is its territory. In fact, the so-called magical beast tide was also caused by it. The black-winged python's cultivation required it to devour a large amount of energy, and this included low-level magical beasts. Due to the pressure of a magic beast level, those low-level magic beasts had no choice but to gather together and let it do as it pleased. 3 years ago, Marshal Uncle and I saw it here by chance. At that time, it was only at the peak of level 6. I didn't expect it to break through to level 7 in just 3 years. Everyone was shocked. Elder Sun frowned. The mountain in the middle of Wanling mountain range is the nest of the black flying python. It never left before. But now, for some unknown reason, he appeared at the border. Qin Yi, how many students are there in this mountain range? A teacher next to him calculated in his heart and immediately said, 2 days ago, many demonic beasts appeared in the forest, and they were extremely aggressive. Many students were injured and had to retreat. Less than a third of them are still inside. Elder Sun stared at the terrifyingly huge body and muttered, no wonder it's so strange this time. It's all because of this guy. Even though there was a distance between them, he could still clearly feel the surging killing intent from the black heaven-devouring python. What did it want to do? He suppressed the uneasiness in his heart and ordered, split up and bring the rest of the students back. Remember, be careful. Don't provoke that black flying python. Yes. Chu Luiyue quickly returned to the cave. From here, she could clearly hear the powerful aura approaching from outside. She took a deep breath and walked out. When her figure appeared at the entrance of the cave, a cold glint flashed across the eyes of the black flying python in midair. Then it stretched out its neck and hissed. All the demonic beasts that were rushing forward heard the order and stopped. However, they had almost occupied half of the mountain. The golden-eyed demonic beast at the front had already jumped to the top of the mountain and was confronting Chu Luiyue. No, it should be said that Chu Luiyue was completely surrounded. Chu Luiyue followed the voice and looked at the sky. When she saw the huge body clearly, she was shocked. A level 7 black flying python? No wonder these demonic beasts were so obedient. It turned out that there was such an existence. A human and a beast looked at each other. Chu Luiyue could clearly see that the pair of vertical pupils were filled with biting, cold, murderous intent. It was indeed coming for her. It wanted to take her life. Chu Luiyue's heart sank. The sun was shining brightly at this moment, but her body was cold. A level 7 demonic beast. If it was her previous life, she would naturally not care. But now, how could she be a match for it? Not to mention that there were so many demonic beasts waiting for her. Chu Luiyue did not doubt that as long as the black flying python gave the order, these demonic beasts would immediately rush forward and tear her into pieces. In this atmosphere where the air seemed to be frozen, the black flying python moved and headed towards Chu Luiyue. When it approached, the golden-eyed demonic beasts all bowed down. The demonic beasts on the mountain also became more and more respectful. The black flying python looked down at Chu Luiyue from above. Just a glance. A formless pressure descended upon them. That was the terrifying power that only high-level demonic beasts had. Chu Luiyue only felt as if something had ruthlessly crushed her body and her entire body was in intense pain. Her face instantly turned pale and sweat broke out on her forehead. The little thing that was originally nestled on her shoulder was also affected and gave out a painful moan. It was a demonic beast and was suppressed by the black flying python's bloodline pressure, so naturally it would not be any better. Chu Luiyue took a look at it and saw that it was trembling all over. Obviously it was extremely afraid and in extreme pain. However, its 2 claws were tightly grabbing onto her clothes and refused to let go. She forced herself to hold on as she turned back to look at the black flying python and asked word by word, "It's not impossible for you to take my life. But at the very least, you have to first tell me the reason and let me die with a clear understanding, right?" The black flying python looked at her indifferently and did not open its mouth but increased its strength. Crack. The ground under Chu Luiyue's feet instantly cracked open. Intense pain engulfed her entire body, almost causing Chu Luiyue's vision to turn black. She clenched her teeth and stood still as a light suddenly flashed through her mind. How easy would it be to kill her? But this black flying python did not directly attack. Compared to wanting her life, it seemed it wanted her to submit more. Digression. Mobile users, please browse and read. A better reading experience comes from the Love Network. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Immortal Journey YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.